Hey, what's up, everyone? Sean here with Blue Ridge Silverhound. I know you guys have been waiting for this one for a while. Wasn't particularly 100% sure if I was going to upload this, but here we are on a Thursday out of all days. So we are quite a few days late on this, but still relevant information. We got the Monday market report for the week ending June 29, 2025. So this was the final one for the month of June, where we are going to take a look at some of the most relevant, hardest hitting, star studded is, I think, kind of one of the words that we're using here this week. If the thumbnail didn't catch you, then maybe some of the other coins in this video will. What else can I say? We're in the heat of the summer, and the sales are firing up on all cylinders. So we're going to take a look at these modern era, so anything from the year 1900 all the way up to the modern dates of graded coins. So if you want to know where some of your coins lie, if you're going to go grade them and hopefully getting it at the level you need to for it to be saleable, the Monday Market Report is a great resource for that. So before we get started here, I just want to go ahead and throw a little bit of kudos to Whatnot, channel sponsor. Thank you again to Whatnot for all of the great platforming for the live social media auction formatting that is taking the world by storm. And we're just going to continue to see this trend of shopping grow in popularity with every single year. Now's a good time to join, so that way you could be at the forefront of this new revolution of shopping. And guess what? We sell every week coins, currency, paper money. Paper money is currency, precious metals, you name it. We do all of the numismatic collectibles on the Blue Ridge Silverhound Whatnot show. And we are in the middle of this huge, big summer-long promo period that ends on July 31st. It's not too late to become a part of that. So you can do either one of two things. If you haven't joined up, we got the QR code right on screen. Go ahead and scan, get yourself signed up. You will receive $15 off immediately on your first item. All you have to do is go and buy something that you love and save that $15 automatically. You don't have to do anything to earn that. If you didn't want to use the QR code, of course, we got those links down below in the description box and also pinned to the comment section of this video. So come check things out. You will probably end up falling in love with what is going to be one of the hottest selling platforms for the foreseeable future. All right, so we're going to go ahead and jump right in. And you're going to notice right off the bat some kind of like trends. Now, Lincoln Cents, I would say, and it's not too early to speculate, really hone in where these coins are going to be and where the movement is projected to, I guess, kind of move to. Yeah, I guess that's what I was trying to say. Project the movement of these coins. I would say over the course of the next 12 months. Okay, the reason why I say that is we're going to be in a transition period here with this popular 1 cent denomination coin that we've all loved to collect. Production effectively in 2026 will be coming to an end on the cent, all in the hopes of trying to save money here and there because, as you guys know, 3.7 cents is what it costs to make a cent, and it doesn't make any sense. So that is the plan, according to the Federal Reserve and the Mint, that they are going to be winding down production in 2026. And me personally, I'm sad. I'm sad that we are going to see the end of any further production. And yeah, this will cause some rippling all across the cent world, the Lincoln cent world. So it doesn't really surprise me at all that we see coins like this pop up on the secondary market, because Lincoln cent registries, as strong and as well collected into as they are right now, will become increasingly more elite once 2026 hits. I think once things start to go down and we see the transition, things are going to get very real. So coins like this are going to be in the crosshairs of a lot of those registry set builds. 2009, this is the Philadelphia Presidency coin. As you can see here, this one graded very high, so of course it's intended for a registry set in a mid-state 68 red. This one, ladies and gents, ended up selling for $1,507.50. So, case in point, for a coin like this to sell for that kind of money, there needs to be some sort of genuine need for it, and there is with those registries. We don't have to go very, very much farther than the formative years reverse. This time on the 2009D, the next coin on the list, also in a mid-state 68 red. This one right here exhibits some really nice satiny features to it. I kind of like the overall look of this coin, but keeping in mind that these particular pieces are. I mean, your best bet, obviously, is going to be looking through BU rolls to find the premier, most cleanest examples out there to grade. And in hindsight, when you look at the production numbers of all of the 2009 coins, for all four designs, both P and D mints, they're actually quite low. And I have to kind of think about for a second, now, why didn't a mint... if they're trying to push and promote a 100-year anniversary of the Lincoln Cent, why didn't they produce more coins of this? And it was real simple. We were in the middle of a recession, so there wasn't nearly as much of a need for small denom coins. And as a result, we see for a good 2 or 3 year period, just dwindling numbers of mintage across the board, not only in Lincoln Cents, but also nickels, dimes, quarters, you name it. So this one right here, always a necessity. This one has kind of the popularization of it because of the all of the DDRs, the double die reverses that you can find on the Philadelphia coins specifically. But this one right here ended up selling for $1,406.25. So that trend, my friend, is right where it's at right now. Where could it be 12 months from now when we're speaking in terms of next summer is anybody's guess. Will it stay the same? Will it shoot up like it's projecting to? Or will it dip for whatever unknown reason? Kind of hard to say. But we'll see. And it's going to be coins like this that's going to be a true barometer of how we're adapting to this new change. Next one that we have here, this is actually quite a rarity. You don't see too many of these out there. 95D Lincoln Memorial Cent seems like a rather pedestrian date. And it is. They exist in many hundreds, if not billions, of examples out there today. However, you would have to scour through a lot of coins in order to find the FS103 doubled die obverse. This is a very, very neat variety that exhibits some pretty strong doubling on the obverse. Now, this particular one, graded by PCGS as a mid-state 66 red, is actually a pretty decent example. And there aren't too many that kind of come up at this grade level. The populations are very, very thin, regardless, across the board. It doesn't matter if it's a 64 grade, a 65, you name it. There's just not a lot of the FS103s out there. And as a result, this one ended up shooting its best shot for $1,856.25 when the smoke cleared. That's how much it sold for. Next one that we have here, one of the big guns of the week, and there were plenty of them. We're talking about a banner week in the middle of summer of 2025 out of all times. This one right here is a mid-state 67 plus red 1957 Philly Lincoln Wheat Cent. A staple among staples of Lincoln Cent registries. This one is a big gaping empty hole for a lot of them. And you could kind of make the argument that a lot of Philadelphia coins of the 50s are missing from some of these big profile collections. This particular one ended up hammering this weekend for $12,037.50, further kind of highlighting the overall general value of the Philadelphia coins at the highest grade level. You're not going to see anything else quite like it, especially for coins that, again, there's an overabundance of BU coins out there, but it's going to take the one special coin that's going to grade out in the 67 plus that'll move that needle into the next level. We also have this one here. We have a couple back-to-back really beautiful varieties, both that not only am I very familiar with because I have found both in varying degrees of grade, but these ones are true cherry picker's guide kind of like funsies. These are coins that obviously we're looking for, but we're not completely 100% hinging our success of the search or the hunt strictly by trying to find these pieces, like this 1955 S over S over S, which is a repunch mint mark variety. It's the FS501, as you can see on the label there. Came in at quite possibly the finest grade known to man of this one in a mid-state 67 plus red. I have never seen that one, let alone an example that grades out anything north of 66. You know, this probably is the only one at this grade level. And, you know, when the dust had settled on the auction, I wasn't at all surprised at the results. This one right here ended up selling for $7,593.75. Again, a nice surprising inclusion to the Monday market report for the week. And then we also have this one here, which I have found many dozens of this one, even in BU condition. But this one right here is a cut above the rest. This is the D over D 53 Lincoln Wheat Cent FS501. Of course, it's in the Cherry Picker's Guide. In a way, the diagnostically, this one is kind of easy to see, even with the naked eye, so long as the mint mark is directly underneath the 5 in the date. Because most of them will come up with the RPM. So if you're out there hunting and you're looking specifically for this date, you know, that's going to be one of the things that'll cut down on the variances of this particular RPM. This one, as you can see, just as impressive in a mid-state 67 red. This one ended up selling for $2,925. A really great amount of money for this coin. That is really not all that rare, but in the highest forms of condition, like you see here, that could certainly make a difference. We also have this 1932D. It's just overall a stunner. It's a much tougher date than it appears at first glance. So this is like one of the big ones of the week. And I only say that because some of the Red Copper collection, aka Stuart Blay pieces, ended up reselling here this week. And the 32D was one of them. Now this one is highlighted by some really nice kind of restrained toning on it. Okay, it's not going to blow you away. You don't have to worry about, the fussiness of toning and how it affects copper. This one right here still managed to grab a 67 plus full red on the grade, and it's CAC certified, which I believe most, if not all, of the Stuart Blay pieces are. So we are revisiting this one. This one ended up selling a couple years back, but the owner had pushed it back out into the marketplace. Ended up selling for $32,063.62. We have another one here, another Stuart Blay red copper piece, 1913. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the ultimate example of a coin that the moment it was struck, it was preserved in its current state of preservation, which is quite remarkable considering that not too many of them existed in that particular grade, especially over 100 years later. So this one, coming in at mid-state 67 plus red, is the finest known to man, CAC certified. Again, true stunner in every sense of the word. And I love the earlier struck pieces because you can see more of the detail and the relief and the pebbleness of the fields, which I think is just really, really cool. This one ended up selling for $51,750, and this is one of Great Collection's high-profile kind of like stunners of the week that they had on our main splash page. But this was not the biggest red copper collection piece of the week. That distinction goes to this 1909 VDB. Remember, there's no S mint mark on this one. You know why? Because it's the proof. This is the matte proof version of the 1909 VDB. This one ended up graded as a proof 67 plus red, which is quite possibly the finest grade known of this matte proof VDB coin. CAC certified as well. I mean, I could stare at this thing all day, but business comes down to what we're doing with our minutes. So we're maximizing minutes. We're going to spend, a moment to really enjoy and appreciate coins like this. And the price tag, boy, not only was it heart-stopping, but justifiable. $275,625 is like a decent sized house out in the Midwest. I wish I could say, some other states, but, real estate as it goes up all across the country, and so does commodities like highly collectible rarities like this 1909 VDB proof. The likelihood that we'll see another one in the future is not going to happen unless the Stuart Blade piece you see here in front of you ends up back on the market because of XYZ components. I really don't know. I think this one probably will end up in some collection for decades. Just really cool piece. And it's only going to go up from here. This is one that I would say is not going to sit on its laurels at $250,000. 10 years from now, this thing will be a lot more than that. All right, now we're on to nickels. If you think nickels took a back seat this week because Lincoln cents were just so undeniably crazy, think again, all right? There are a few standouts in the 5-cent little denomination that we all know to hate. 53D is one of those, although this one's actually not too bad. 53D, comes at certain times very well struck, and that's kind of hard for me to say, considering we're talking about the 50s. The 50s were not known for well struck coins. This one, NGC graded 67 with 5 full steps. Very impressive for what it is. And selling for $1,863. This is a pretty good chunk for this one, keeping in mind it is an NGC plastic. Another NGC graded piece is this 39. We actually did a shorts video on this one, so this one might be a little bit familiar to you folks. This one, the doubled Monty, as I like to call it, is also the reverse of 40, so it's got the nicer looking steps on there. You can see the doubling, just really no kind of skirting around that because it's as strong as it looks. Let's see, NGC gave this one a 67 as well, 5 full steps, and CAC certification, all in one. $2,643.75 was the final result, and me personally, I think that's fantastic. This is a coin that is very, very searchable by today's standards, even in higher grades if you have been cherry-picked out there. And it's high enough in mintage that it justifies the hunt. So keep that in mind. When you're trying to look for these, the more 39 Phillies that you look through, the better your odds are of finding this coin. Me personally, I have found my fair share of them in all grade levels, and they are a lot of fun. We do have some Buffaloes. The Buffaloes is really where it's at. For the nickels, 38D over S is a great variety that is landed comfortably on the final year of one of the most storied designs, bar none, in U.S. numismatics. This one, PCGS graded as a 67 plus. It's got the CAC certification, and if you looked at the mint mark, you could see all sorts of craziness and shenanigans happening. This one ended up selling for $2,925. Great looking coin with just unbelievable luster. We also have a 34D, and yes, this is a rarity, especially in high grades. It's a coin that, much like some of our relatives were ignored, as a kid. 34D is one of them. Ignored for the longest time until they weren't. Until the Buffalo nickel, enthusiasts out there got real. and they got real on this coin for that reason. Mid-State 66 Plus is all you would need to hit for this thing to go buck wild. CAC certified as well. $8,728.88 is quite a rich price that a lot of people aren't expecting from a mid-30s Buffalo nickel. 23S. Now this one looks to be a rarity because it is. We're talking 1920s, just the armpit of production and quality and everything like that. It was just, I mean, look, when we're talking about luster on mid-state beautiful coins, this one does not show it. And a lot of the mid-20s Buffaloes and some other coins did not show it very well. The planchets were garbage. So they made do with what they had during this time. Mid-State 65 Plus was the grade on this one, also showing hints of toning on there. Both sides of the coin really, really popping through with some originality. This one ended up selling for $10,417.50. Another great high-end trophy for the obsolete type collector. And then we also have this 14S. It's a rarity, It is 67, which makes it a whole heck of a lot better. This is a beautiful coin. Beautiful coin. That's not a 1913S Type 2. It's not any other date. This is just overall a great presentation quality type piece. Sure, I mean, it'd probably go well in a nice high-end registry set, but this is also the type of coin that you could appreciate as a type collector. If you got the money to spill all over the place to own this one, I would suggest that this is a great buy. Mid-State 67 through PCGS, $34,650 was the ultimate ask and sell price for this coin. We do have a couple dimes. 1982, this is the infamous missing P mint mark Roosevelt dime. There is supposed to be a P mint mark on all Philadelphia minted coins. 1980 and current. This one doesn't have it. All right, just due to some weird mistake. This one also has the strong strike as notated on the PCGS label. Mid-State 67 with full bands coming in on this one, and it ended up selling for $1,040.62. All right, this is like 3 weeks in a row that we've seen 1982 no mint mark coins to sell. Last week there was a Mid-State 67 plus full bands that sold for like $1,800, so that's the next step there on this one. 1965, keeping in mind they did not make proof coins in 65, 66, or 67. So the special mint sets that replaced that particular, I guess, strike type for collectors was, was met with mixed reaction. It wasn't anybody's favorite because they didn't look like proof coins, and that's what people wanted. And then it wasn't until only a few examples of these SMS coins with very fresh prepared dies with the sandblasted pebbly fields, or not the fields, but the devices, and then highly polished fields, made it look like a proof coin. And who knew you could find these in the SMS sets until now, or until 25 years ago. And now people are paying more attention to these in this particular look. SP68 Cameo SMS PCGS graded example, $2,531.25 is a pretty good price on that one there. 1948D, very original OG Krusty the Krab. I call this one Krusty the Krab toning. It kind of looks like that. You got the color of the red of the crab. You got some of the moss green of the undersea kind of deal there. So this one right here obviously has its kind of like, I guess, its audience for this type of toning. It's not everybody's cup of tea, but it does really pour in a lot of the originality that people and collectors expect. PCGS graded this one Mid-State 68 full bands. It is a little bit tougher date. It's no 49S by a long shot, but we should always kind of respect these branch mint 1940s Rosies as something of a little bit extra above and beyond. So this one right here ended up selling for $1,181.25. A really good fair price on this one with the toning and all that stuff. And then the last dime, boy oh boy, it's always great to talk about a 1919 Denver or San Francisco with full bands, because it is truly one of the unicorns, I guess, white whales, yeah, trophies. Um, whatever analogy you want to use for something that is unique or one of or very few of, you can certainly use those. Okay, 1919S. And the grade is only a 64 with full bands, but the key is FB. It has the full bands on here, which is something you don't see on a 1919 Denver or San Francisco. So even in a 64, price got really out of hand on this one to where it sold for $7,749. I believe this is a coin in like mid state 60, 65 plus or 66, where they're like $100,000. It really makes it like one of the most expensive Mercury dimes to record. So yeah, this one, while not a top grade, but just a very serviceable 64, is a very choice example that will just continue to live on as a trophy in a collection. All right, we're going to wrap things off here on a few quarters. There you go. How about 2016 S? This is the uncirculated business strike Shawnee National Park. These were only made available through the U.S. Mint directly in rolls. So you had to buy these in PDNS, I believe. And I believe they had these for the national parks in the 100 count bags, which I've ordered once, but ended up getting stolen right out of the mail because, well, it sounded like a damn bag of quarters in a box. So, it was understandable that someone needed it more than I do, but still, it's still an S-Mint uncirculated quarter bag, which they didn't make a whole lot of them. A couple, 300,000-400,000 by the time it's all said and done is not a whole lot. All right. So there have been a few pieces over the course of the last year that have come up really nice graded, like this Shawnee National Park in Mid-State 67 plus, selling for $1,137.36. Case in point, there is some value here with these at the highest level. We also have kind of like my love-hate relationship coin, 1969p Washington quarter. It's the singular date that is just insanely hard to difficult to locate. Sorry, just really crazy to locate in a nice great state. This is like what it is to me, like a 1983 Philly Washington quarter is to a lot of other people, and that's considering that this one can be plucked out of a mint set for 1969, whereas in 83 they didn't have mint sets. So this one here, Mint State 67. Not the highest grade. I believe 68 is for this one. For the longest time, it used to be 67, and it was like an $8,000 coin. So these have come down, obviously, because there's like a new thoroughbred grade in town. $1,350. 6 cents was the finality on this one. We also have this one here. We also did a short video on this. 1954D with toning extraordinaire all throughout. And that is ultimately what won this one over with collectors, and the bidders responded in kind with a pretty big price tag. Mid-State 67 Plus was the assigned grade by PCGS, and your final total was $4,500. Again, for a coin that was minted to quite healthy numbers. The association with the final price, I know doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but toning is a huge premium that people levy on just about any collectible coins. Even candy half dollars with beautiful, stunning rainbow toning have been hitting their stride in the market these days. So don't underestimate some of these later dated silvers, whatever they may be. You would be shocked and surprised, quite frankly, at what the results have been lately. And the final coin is nothing of any particular fanfare other than it's a 1941p, just good old-fashioned Washington quarter, all right? This one is not particularly rare, by date. However, in grade, a mid-state 68 is, it's nothing to really sneeze at. This is a tough grade for just about any date of Washington Quarter. So this week, it's the 1941's turn because the Washington Quarter registry is quite healthy out there. This one ended up selling, by the way, for $7,044.75 to the just the amazing kind of like uh, I don't know. It's just the prices have been quite nasty lately. But that's going to go ahead and wrap things up for the week on the Monday Market Report. Again, my apologies for getting this out late, but at least it'll give you guys something to ponder. Information in this video is for educational use only, not financial advice. Please collect and or grade your coins responsibly. And that's it, folks. I am your host, Sean, with Blue Ridge Silverhound. I want to thank you, each and every single one of you, for tuning in. And thank you again for all the views and support. That really means a whole lot to me. So happy hunting, happy collecting, enjoy this hobby. I will see you on the next coin video. And happy 4th of July weekend. Be safe out there, folks.